Hi everybody, this is going to be part 1 on a how to convert your Dodge truck from the standard Chrysler ignition to a HEI ignition using a GM ignition module. Now my truck in question is a 1979 Dodge D300 with a 360 engine, 2-barrel carb, 4-speed manual. Fun combination. But I am going to be getting rid of both this and this. This is the electronic ignition module and the ballast resistor that came off of my truck. I recently had this go bad, and most part stores stock the 4-pin version, but they do not stock the 5-pin. And the 5-pin would have taken quite a couple of days for it to come in, and it's a sorry attempt at ignition control, to be honest. The Dodge boys never really did get it right by doing this. The guys in GM, now they actually had an ignition system worth a darn on the mid-70s and early 80s. In fact, I think they kept using it all the way up to, I think, 88. So when they switched over their ignition system. But Chrysler started introducing these into their vehicles in the early 70s on certain engine combinations. And then after 75, these became, every vehicle had one after that. It replaced your old points type distributors, which were alright, but they had quite a few parts that wore out, and they were a bear to work on. So are these, too, for that matter. This is a system that only works on about around 5-6 volts of power. Any more than that, and you will burn the system up. And that is the stock ignition coil for that. This would probably work as a temporary emergency, but I doubt it. I don't think it'd work. You'd probably burn it up real fast by using the HEI module. But this, get rid of that. This, get rid of that. And this, get rid of that. To do the conversion, we will be using this little thing right here. This is a GM ignition module, ignition control module, from a 1977 Chevy K1500 Silverado with a 350 4-barrel carb. And this is a 4-pin module. I got all my parts at O'Reilly's to do my conversion. And that's another thing. This only cost me about $24, whereas this thing, quite a bit bigger, bulkier, and heavier than that thing, this would have cost me about $10-12 higher just to get this. And all you need is this, your ignition coil, and your distributor. You can retain your stock distributor. That's all you need with this conversion. Now, for the ignition coil, I'm using an Accel Super Stock coil. I got this at O'Reilly's for about around 30 bucks. Wonderful, wonderful product. I would recommend that you get this one if you're doing an HEI conversion, because, it's got quite a bit of power for its old oil-filled coil, and for not bad of a price you can get that. And it will handle full voltage. It'll handle 12 volts. But in addition to those two things, you will need some scrap aluminum to build your heat sink off of for it. I built this out of, I think it's 1/8 of an inch thick aluminum. Quite sturdy. And I made a bracket out of it. As you can see right here. I took it flat, bent it up, bent it over, ran it across, I used the width of my bench vise to make measurements, and then I bent it down and out. So that way, say this is my firewall of my truck, I can mount it like so. The ignition module will be mounted like that. Now, one thing to note, your ignition module, hang on, let me get my flash. All of the electronic components, if you purchase them from O'Reilly's, they carry lifetime warranty. I was going to get it at Advanced Auto Parts, but I was promptly informed by someone there that they will not honor lifetime warranty on their electronic products anymore. Any electronic components, if it says it has a lifetime warranty, they will not honor it. O'Reilly's will. Napa is pretty much standard for all of their products. It's a 3-year warranty. But O'Reilly's is about probably the only place that would honor lifetime warranty products, providing you do one important thing. As you can see at the top of the module, on both sides, there are 2 little nubs. Forum I looked at said to grind these off. Do not do that. Otherwise you will void the warranty. And really, it's simple. All I did was I took a paint stick, such as this. I coated the nubs with some paint, and then I took it and pressed it on like that. The paint transferred, and I dropped all my parts. And the paint transferred, leaving 2 marks on the aluminum, to which I drilled small holes so that those nubs would fit through. And then once that was done, I drilled through with these, got some machine screws that would fit through, and then I simply bolted it to this. And then I used some self-tapping screws to bolt this to the firewall. But one thing to note, you will need to ground this module. You can either ground it off of this side or both, but it doesn't matter. But you will need to grind it, or not grind it, ground it. The module will come with some grease for you to put on the back of this to help with the heat transfer. You will also need some various electrical connectors and wire. I don't have the wire with me on hand, so you just have to take my word for it. But I would recommend, if you do know what wire you're using, use at least a 16 gauge. If you're not sure what that looks like, ask one of the guys behind the counter at your parts store for some 16 gauge wire. They'll be able to help you. But you will need some ring terminals. You'll need some spade connectors. I had some of these hanging around, but I chose to pick up some heavy duty ones. They just have the plastic coating on the outside of them. You'll need the male version of the spade connector, because you will need to use this in place of your ballast resistor to jump across on your connectors. See, you'll need to be able to jump like that. And I will describe this in more detail in my part 2 video. And you'll also need, if you're doing it like how I did it, I used a terminal block to connect various electrical components, and since they all share the same power source, I get power to the components since both start and run. I decided to use some of these to connect my wiring with. You also need some electrical tape, some soldering equipment to make your connections with your wires. You can use these terminals, you know, like so, to connect wires together. But if you're going to connect two wires together, why not just solder them? Now, on my terminal block, you don't necessarily have to do this, but I recommend you do it anyway. Get you a heavy-duty inline fuse holder and put a 20 amp fuse in line. That's just to protect your ignition system and all the various circuits if you decide to use a terminal block. But mainly the reason I got this was to protect the coil and the module from surges from my electrical system if I ever have any. That the ignition module, here is the part number for it. It was about $24 and it had a lifetime warranty, like I said. I got that at O'Reilly's. Same thing with this one, I got this at O'Reilly's. There's the part number. This only has I think it was a 1-year warranty. I'm not sure. It wasn't a lifetime warranty, I know that. But that is all the components you'll need. Oh, and you'll need a vehicle wiring diagram. I got this off of online. Somebody had it posted up there, but if not, you could get a Chilton's manual or a Haynes manual. They're not as detailed as what I've got for my electrical wiring diagrams, but they do a pretty good job. That's like a sample of the wiring diagrams. It's basic, but it'll give you all the information you need. And I will describe in part 2 how this system is wired up. And I will give you wiring diagrams, and I will give you a little step-by-step on how to hook it up. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoy this episode. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank y'all for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video. If you want to give it a thumbs up, please feel free to. I appreciate them. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank y'all for watching. Talk to you later.